rope, and then I start the knot in this location. So right over left, make a loop, come around, and then down, and pull, and I get the figure 8 knot. All right. Next step is I'm going to feed the rope up through the belay loop. So I'm starting the knot from the bottom, and I can make it loose. I want the knot about a fist distance away from the harness. And then I'm going to start, and I'm going to just push it over a little bit. I'm going to start, and I'm going to trace this first 8, just following it around. And then I come out, and so it's nice and dressed and flat, so I can run my fingers along the 2 braids of it, and my fingers should never cross. All right, the last knot is the stopper knot. It's just really a slip knot. I'm going to wrap down and then come back up through the loop I created, and then lock it on there. And that's the stopper knot. All right. And that is the figure 8 follower knot. I'm going to take a loop, hold it towards the loop end towards my waist, throw it over my wrist, twist my hand out, pass the end through, and I end up with a double figure 8. Make a loop. I always do like right over left to make that loop. Right over left, right over left. So then I take the tag end. This is the end that's going to be weight beared. That's my tree. Rabbit comes out of the hole, goes down around the tree, and then goes back down the hole. And then I just pull the loop and the weighted end, and it forms a double bowline. So this is a fast way of doing it. You're going to do an overhand knot. My hand's going to slip through. I'm going to grab the end here and pull. And I just created a bowline on a bite. And so I actually have two pull-in, or 2 connection points. And there's the bowline part. Bowline on a bite. So I'm going to demonstrate the butterfly knot. I'm going to wrap 3 wraps around my hand. The wrap closest to my thumb, I take all the way over the top of the other 2. And then now the one that's closest to my thumb again goes over the other 2, and then back through the loop that I create. Pull in both directions. You want to pull like this. The double fisherman's. So I have, I'm going to tie 2 ends of rope together or make a loop with 1 rope. So I take the one in my right hand, cross it over to make an X. All right. The tag that's going to my right hand, I'm going to start wrapping towards the center of the X. And I'm going to start towards myself. I'm going to make 2 loops, 2 complete loops. And then I'm going to take the end back through the loops I create. And you can do 3 or 4 loops. The more secure the knot is. And then I pull tight, and so I created 1/2. To do the other half, I just flip it around, take the part that's going to my right, start wrapping back towards the center, 2, and then around. Place that through. And so now when I pull the two ends together, it cinches tight. That's the double. The knot in my hand, and I'm going to pass it through itself, minimum of 3 times. 2, 3, and then I'm going to tighten it down. So now, when I put weight on it, it locks off, but it's also, I can slide it up and down really easy. But if I need to weight on it, it'll lock off. This one's a little... Okay, clove hitch, it's a locking knot. And so if I make a loop, make a second loop, so I make a pretzel. The second loop goes behind the first loop. And if I put a carabiner in there and tighten it down, it locks on itself. That's a clove hitch. Girth hitch is pretty simple. If you have a loop of rope or a webbing or whatever you have, you wrap that around and then just put one end through and pull. That's a girth hitch. So I'll just start off with an overhand knot, and I'm going to start with just a girth hitch around something. If I can get one of you guys to hold this. Just hold it. So I just girth hitched this on here. Okay, so Lauren's, we want to try to have this as tight as possible. So what I can do to make a trucker's hitch is I'm going to do it again. Make the 2 loops. The second loop's going to come around and then back through that loop, which is called a slip knot, because it's going to slip and tighten down on itself. So I could, if I wanted to take a little bit longer, I could just put the end through. And then I have that fulcrum just to crank it down, and then I would still have to tie it off somehow with a couple half hitches. A belay knot called the Munter hitch. All right, and this is how people used to belay before they developed an ATC. So if you're ever in a rescue situation where you need to have someone on a, lowering on a rope or something like that, you can just have, if you just had a carabiner and a rope, you can safely belay someone using the Munter hitch. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a loop. So right over left, and then I'm going to take a piece behind, and then I'm going to clip in to where they double up, and then I create, so if he falls, just like I'm belaying, I have him locked off. But it also reverses, so I can also, as he climbs, I can pull, and then if he falls, I lock off, and it's called the Munter hitch.